want to do just a quick review and a summation of the installation of our Truck Covers USA tonneau cover. So as you can see, we got it on. I just want to go over some of the things that we ran across. This is a 8-foot long bed F450. Our tonneau came in this box. It was banded to a pallet and it sustained some damage. I checked it over, but all this happened in shipping. We didn't do any of this, so it was ripped up. They had kind of taped over it. It's ripped up over here. I cut it all open to make sure. Then this is like a clamshelled over another box. So it's heavy too. So you open it up, and the actual canister is supported by this foam in place stuff. It did a good job. That seemed to do fine. And the canister, I can't tell where it's got any sort of damage or anything like that. You had the installation kit that was inside there that included the hose up front. There was some other parts and pieces in there, the grommets for the holes, that kind of stuff. So that was also inside this box. But what we did is we took the top off and then just ripped the box apart, because let me tell you, that canister with all that aluminum is pretty heavy. So here is this is just the bottom of the box. So that is what the canister was on, and it worked exactly like this right here. So this is what the equivalent. Now this had the side rails, and you can kind of see that ours got some damage there too, which I didn't catch until after the fact, to be honest. So I opened it and looked for like paint damage or anything along those lines. There was no damage that way, but there was some bending that had happened. So anyway, they had it secured as best they could. The two side rails were secured with these little pieces of foam. This was your center and your two ends. But let's get on to some of the things that you got to watch out for. This was the first thing. So up front, we'll come up front here. Up under the canister, they have kind of a U shape of this foam. Well, due to the plastic side caps, you need to kind of double up the foam up under the canister at the front. And so we just did a little test bit to make sure that it actually will adhere to itself. It does a great job. So we had the tough bed, so you couldn't really stick this to the tough bed, so we just stuck it to itself, and it seems to have done a real good job. Now the other thing I want to caution you on, and we'll step back to the back and take a look. All right, we can get rid of this. This install took us quite a little while because we were bending side rails and things like that. All right, so a couple things to watch out for when you're installing this. These two guys here, when you don't have this cover on the top, this one here is protecting the bottom side of the latch, and this is wedged down inside the canister in between. This is called the curtain and the canister, so it's wedged in there. This can come out. This you better not. I didn't know that. They did, in their defense, they had a little message here, a little sticker that said something about don't remove the lock protector or something like that. Well, I misinterpreted that to mean don't remove this part. And I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Don't remove that. Okay, got it. Well, I think it was this part they were talking about. We were having some trouble getting this into the slides. You can kind of see how it comes up through here. We were kind of having a little bit of trouble. Like, it was really some resistance. And I thought it had something to do with the tape or this foam. So I went ahead and took this out of the way, and I'll show you. It's not bad, but it is here. You probably won't even be able to see it, the black on black. But right here, basically that must be one roll away from this latch, because we got, can you see it there? We got just a little bit of damage from the underside of this latch catching that. So my advice is make sure that you leave this in there, protecting at all times the back side of this latch from messing up your curtain. All right, so that pretty much sums that up. I will show you back here. If you look pretty close, you can kind of see we had to tweak these. When this came out of the box, and we'll splice some images in. When this came out of the box though, it was like that. It was pretty hook build. The other side was kind of bellied. What I mean is it was kind of U-shaped when it came out. So we tried tweaking it a little bit with a crescent wrench, and then I had an old piece of seat belt actually that we kind of just wrapped around like that. Got the crescent wrench in there, kind of tweaked it as best we could. Overall, the install went okay, but we really did wrestle those sides quite a bit. And the last thing I want to point out, for the Fords, they have these holes here. I think that's something to do with maybe the bed extender, but I'm not 100% sure. But those holes you can use. We got this at Home Depot last night. It's complete trash. I wouldn't recommend it. But the good thing is you'll know what size hose that you need. It's a 5/8 ID, and what we're using here is a 3/4 OD. And it seems to plug in pretty good, but now there are some variables, like this hole here is larger than that hole over there. All right, so we did get this at Home Depot. If you're not all that picky, I just don't really like crud, but this is what we ended up getting. It's some Everbuilt, it's clear vinyl. It's got a 3/4 inch OD with a 5/8 inch ID. I did use a heat gun because this stuff really seems to have a memory to it. I mean, you can even see that it's still got the crimp from just being rolled up. Like, I don't think I'd recommend it, but you can use that information to get some hose that you would really prefer to use. Maybe black as well, so where it blended in a little bit better. So anyway, that's my big takeaways. I think the biggest thing was I wanted to point out is you can use the double ply sticky. We stick it to itself. That works real well. And then don't remove that foam. I just misunderstood their directions and thought it was the other part. I would have not removed that had I understood it completely. I guess one last thing I'll show is how we drilled the front. So Ford's got those factory bits of plastic up there, and we just drilled those with a spade tip drill bit and put those in. That was a 1 inch. 7/8 was a little bit too tight. 1 inch seems to almost be a little bit loose if you're really particular, but I mean, they're in there. I think it'll do a fine job of draining. So, all right, that kind of sums up our install of the truck cover American roll cover. Truck Covers USA American roll cover, I believe is right. All right, thanks for watching.